Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome into the facility. Quite literally way too much to talk about on a day like today. Game 7, NBA Finals. It happened last night. Star player Tyrese Haliburton, he had to leave. Oklahoma City Thunder, they're crowned champions. Before that happened, Kevin Durant, he's on the move to Houston. What in the world is going on in the world of sports? Hey, let's debate, more discussion. That's why you're here. This is the facility. I'm joined by the basketball brilliant mind himself, Rick Bucher. On the far end, Super Bowl champ for the Packers, the one and only James Jones. And to my right,
got the own intro. To my right, the guy that's always right. LaShawn Shady McCoy. I told y'all. Where's the college stuff at now? Oh, you didn't bring it. Oh, he didn't bring it?
Shady, there's no way you feel great about that victory. Tyrese Haliburton balling to start that game. Made 3 threes to start that game. There is no way you can come up here and in good faith, in good confidence, with all these things, truly believe and truly gloat after that victory.
It's been a 7-game series, right? That's what it's at. Game 7 took the Thunder to win. And you talked about Haliburton 2 times out of the whole series. The game where he had game 1, I think game 3, he had 22 points.
22-12.
Other than that, he's been regular. He's like the third best player in the
Shady, he had more three-pointers made in 7 minutes yesterday than anybody the whole game.
Tell them, because I don't care. Your team lost, my team won.
Where's my single? Where is my single? Right here, Tyrese Haliburton had more three-pointers made in 7 minutes than any other player on either team the entirety of the game.
This champagne still spilling out here. You know what I mean? You talking about all that, they sipping more. Pop champagne.
I can't believe you.
Shady, let's be real.
Let's be real about what?
Once the series went to 6 games, move on.
I said that the better team will win. However you want to cut it. However you want to cut your cake. Eat that cake.
I'm glad Shady asked that question.
Hey, Thunder, congratulations. It's hard to win a championship. SGA, you on your way, baby.
Hey, get one more time, please. Get well soon, Tyrese.
Yes, please.
Get well soon. Hey, let's just get to the sound of it all. Tyrese Haliburton, he had to leave the game with an injury. Colvin, who's talking? What sound are we tossing to? What sound are we tossing so I can set it up? All right.
That's championship sound right there.
Oh,
that's championship sound right there.
SGA.
He don't know what that is right there.
Oh, he didn't want to go to SGA.
Feels amazing. So much weight off my shoulders. So much stress relieved. I'm so proud of this group. I wouldn't have rather done it with any other group in the world. It feels good to be a champion.
What happened with Tyrese is just all of our hearts dropped. But he will be back. He authored one of the great individual playoff runs in the history of the NBA.
The author of one of the great individual playoff runs in the history of the NBA. The NBA Finals, congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let me start by saying that has to come out of anybody's mouth first on a day like today. But what I can say is this. I don't know if we will ever know if the best team won the NBA Finals. And I don't just say this as a fan. I don't just say this as somebody who supports Tyrese Haliburton. I say this as somebody who experientially lived it. I've only been in one championship game in my adult career. Went to the national championship game in college, playing the University of Alabama before they had ever won a championship. Nick Saban's first one, playing 18 miles down the road in Pasadena. Starting quarterback Colt McCoy, Heisman runner-up. We're going down the field, driving down the field in that game against the vaunted Alabama defense, and he gets hit by Marcel Darius. He gets hurt. Alabama goes on to win that game because we had to replace Colt McCoy with the true freshman quarterback. Alabama won that game. Shout out to Alabama. The Thunder won that game. Shout out to the Thunder. But did the best team win that game? We'll never know. Because I do not think that Alabama was the best team in that game. Obviously, I'm biased. I played and started that game for the University of Texas. Did the best team win that game last night? I guess we'll never know. Of course, you might want to suggest that the Thunder won that game, but I recall, if I'm not mistaken, the Thunder were trailing at halftime 48-47. I recall Tyrese Haliburton having more points than Miles Turner, Naismith, and Obi Toppin combined. And Tyrese Haliburton played 7 minutes. I recall Tyrese Haliburton having more three-pointers made in 7 minutes than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had in his 40. Than Jalen Williams had in his 40, than Naismith had in his 20-plus, than Turner had in his 20-plus, than Toppin had in his 20-plus, than Mathurin had in his 20-plus. I recall Tyrese Haliburton doing more in 7 minutes than half of his team did in the next 40. So did the best team win that game? I can't fully suggest and say with confidence that the best team did indeed win that game. As I was talking about before the game, the palms were sweaty, weak knees, arms was all tights.
I hear you, Eminem. I hear you, Em.
So with that being said, shout out to the Thunder. But Shady, did the best team actually win the finals?
This is
I guess we'll
wild,
never know.
This Thunder, I will not do y'all like that.
Hey.
I hate to see Haliburton get hurt, but I can't do y'all like that. Y'all earned this thing. Y'all been the best team all season.
All year.
And y'all was the best team in the finals, right? You talk about Haliburton, I won't even talk about him too much because he's injured, and as this brotherhood of sports, especially elite sports, we never even talk about the injuries. But I don't know if he was even the best point guard on his team in his final series. Do you? Let me ask again.
Yeah, he
won't
speak English all of a sudden.
In this brotherhood of sports, elite sports,
All of a sudden, he's
professionals,
spoken different
we don't
language.
talk about injuries, but I just asked, a question. I don't know if Haliburton was the best point guard on his team in the finals. Do you think so?
TJ McConnell played well.
All right, so let's just keep it respectful. I do think that if he played in this game, the ending would have been the same result, but it might have been a little different. He probably had, 17 points, something around there, maybe some more assists. He's got his team more involved, but they just wasn't a better team. That's it. Simple as that. When I kept calling the Pacers a college team, it was more of when you need a bucket, when you need a score, and you go through the whole offense, right? And now the offense is set back again. Who's gonna give you that bucket? They couldn't do it. They couldn't score. Even SGA, if he's struggling scoring, or Jay Will, I got somebody I can go to. When the coach is in the huddle drawing up a play, if the offense don't work right there, who can I go to? It was a point in the game where they just couldn't score. And I can't remember what it was around
8:32 in the third.
8:32 in the third, and all the points came from TJ. Yeah. Going on to the fourth, nobody else could score. It was like 4 minutes. It was like fourth quarter, 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And since the 8:30 mark in the third, nobody else scored a bucket for the Pacers but TJ.
Turned into a whole different team.
And you talking about who the best team is. Come on, man. And the sad part and the scary part is, I think the OKC Thunder, I think they get better next year. A lot of experience. They're a young team.
They are young.
Man, you play around if you want to.
We'll get to that. The reason I'm not convinced is this. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander went 8 for 27 from the field. Didn't play a great game.
Nope.
Jalen Williams went 7 of 20 from the field. Didn't play a great game. Meanwhile, Tyrese Haliburton in 7 minutes was 3 of 4 from 3. Mind you, SGA, 2 of 12 from 3. J-Dub, 2 of 7 from 3. Again, Tyrese Haliburton in 7 minutes, 3 of 4 from 3. What I'm trying to convey is that was a game that the Pacers likely would have won based upon the recipe of how that game went. You're telling me Shai went 8 of 27? You're telling me combined the Thunder 2 best players was 15 of 47? 15 of 47? And you want me to believe that the Pacers would not have won that game? It's just hard for me to believe that the Thunder on that day would have been the better team. That's just what's hard for me to believe.
So now we're changing the question. We're changing it from did the best team win the finals to did the best team win Game 7? Right? Right? Because you're going through this little window of on any given night, let me throw March Madness in here, right? And here's the reality is that, yes, and to Shady's point, because this is about the entire season. Mm-hmm. The Oklahoma City Thunder had the best record in the league in spite of the fact that Chet Holmgren missed 50 games, that Isaiah Hartenstein missed 25 games. They had injuries that could have impacted their season. It was just at a different time, and they overcame that to have the best record in the league so that Game 7 was on their home floor. Because you can't tell me that having it at home didn't make a difference in this Game 7. So if we take into account injuries and suggest that this wasn't a fair fight or that this should be discounted, this win should be discounted because of an injury, we could do that with almost every championship team. Every championship team. Because surviving the grind of the season is part of the challenge of being a champion, is you are going to face injuries and setbacks at some point. Unfortunately for the Indiana Pacers, they faced their greatest one in Game 7, but it's a little bit like when the Warriors lost KD and they lost Klay Thompson. right? That was a culmination of the season. And it eventually hit him. I remember saying that season, because of all the long runs that they had, and because they were so top-heavy and they relied, much like the Indiana Pacers relied on Tyrese Haliburton so much, that, you know what, in this day and age, that relying so much on one player is going to come back and get.
But you would have said in 2019, when the Raptors beat the Warriors, you would have said the best team did not win the finals because the Warriors were a better team.
Well, that's two.
Obviously, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant is not greater than Tyrese Haliburton. But I'm just simply suggesting this isn't always a wild question to ask.
Yeah, no, it's wild in this situation because of how Tyrese Haliburton was playing. Right? So let's not forget how Tyrese Haliburton, and I pray that Tyrese Haliburton gets healthy, but let's not forget how he was playing. Now, if you would have came on this show and the Pacers won and SGA got hurt, I could listen to your statement. The boy got 30, 30, 30, 30. He's clearly the best player not only in the world at this point because he's MVP, but in this series. And I could say, okay, dang, he's out. Tyrese Haliburton and this Indiana Pacers team, he really was a role player on this team for them this year, especially in the finals. He was. That's how he was playing. My man only went over 20 points one time in this series. So you saying the way he started off would have automatically sent him to 30? No. The way he started off would have had him around 20 points, and it still probably would have equaled a loss. So to me, this is not like a KD or a Klay Thompson. Them dudes was balling in the final. So that's different to me.
But couldn't you suggest this, though, that Tyrese Haliburton is a conduit for everything that happens with the Pacers? He's not going to give you 30 like KD's going to give you. He's not going to give you 20 like Klay Thompson's going to give you. But what he is going to give you is 8 assists. He's going to make sure that Toppin gets involved instead of Toppin having a goose egg. He's going to make sure Miles Turner gets involved instead of Miles Turner, I believe, having maybe 4 or 6 points. He's going to make sure that Naismith gets his shots because Naismith can't create on his own. Wouldn't you suggest that if Tyrese Haliburton is present, he would have done what everybody else could have done, and McConnell wouldn't have had 8 turnovers because all the great things T.J. McConnell did, make no mistake about it, he turned that ball over,
So
too.
I'm not saying by any means that they're a better team without Haliburton. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is when Haliburton was on the court this season in the 7-game series in the finals, my man just asked you a question and you act like you can speak English as he wasn't the third best player on his team. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we're talking Klay Thompson and KD. We're talking dudes that was balling.
Okay, but it's not
That's
as
different.
It's not as if Tyrese, I'm going to throw you a lifeline here. It's not as if Tyrese didn't have at least one really good, impactful game.
Not saying he did.
In the finals.
He did. He had game
So
three.
if he had given you a second, look, he was never a scorer, but it was his combination of scoring and getting everybody
Really,
involved
point guard.
that made him impactful. He was 1 rebound short of a triple-double. If he gives me 1 rebound short of a triple-double in last night's game, then I think it's a much different game. And he did come out aggressive. So there's reason to believe that we might have gotten a special game out of Tyrese Haliburton last night.
That's all
in
I'm
spite
suggesting.
of what we had seen for the better part of the series.
But if we doing that, then we can sit here and say was the best team in the finals. Because they played a Cavs team that didn't have 2 of their best players.
Yeah.
They started off playing a Milwaukee
fair.
team that
That's
didn't have
fair.
James. So we can't do that.
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm not going so far as to say that the Indiana Pacers were the better team. I think the right team won. But to suggest that Tyrese Haliburton had no impact.
No, nobody's saying that.
We're not saying that because he's a good player for them, for sure. But let's just talk about, because you act like he gets everybody involved all the time. There's times where he didn't do anything, and Miles Turner had like 4 or 5 points. Finished the game like that. Toppin, right? There's times where he went off. Haliburton had nothing to do with that. What we can't do is sit up here and he's hurt, and I hate that he got injured. But let's stop acting like if he was 100% healthy, that they just win this game because he's been playing so great. Because there's a lot of games where he's been absent.
That's true.
A lot of games that they won, he's been absent. We can't find him.
I'm not coming up here and saying with my whole chest that they win the game if Tyrese Haliburton does not say. All I'm coming up here and saying is I am not convinced that they lose the game if Haliburton is present. I'm not coming up here standing on this desk saying they would have won.
matter of fact.
But what I'm coming up here and saying is Tyrese Haliburton is a stone cold killer. He's proven that in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Tyrese Haliburton in the biggest moments plays his best. This was the biggest moment. He was on pace to play his best, albeit 7 minutes. He usually plays about 30, so he played about 22% of how many minutes he would have played. He was on pace to play his best. History shows against the Cavs. History shows against the series beforehand against the Milwaukee Bucks. He plays his best in the biggest moments, and it looked like he was about to do that.
Can we say this, though? I think he's been like the third best player on the Pacers this finals. Being generous. Let's think about that.
Not being generous, being stingy, you could say it. Being stingy, you could say. You could put McConnell ahead of him.
In the finals, I'm taking TJ before him, and I'm taking Siakam before him in the finals.
You being stingy, you
I only
could
have
say.
one issue with what you said. You said he's a stone cold killer.
He had proven to be so in the playoffs.
I think he can be a stone cold killer. There's a difference.
The killer's other side, SGA, that's a killer.
Well, speaking of killers, we got to make a transition because the other gigantic story in the NBA was this. Kevin Durant, Shady refers to him as the God, is on the move from the Phoenix Suns to the Houston Rockets. Remember, people, this is a gigantic deal. He's joining a Rockets team that was a 2-seed. A 2-seed this year alone, and they didn't have to give up that much. I believe here's Kevin Durant speaking on the move.
Being a part of the Houston Rockets, I'm looking forward to it. Crazy last couple of weeks, but I'm glad it's over with. You know, when people could just hang your career in the balance like that and just choose what they want to do with your career is a nerve-wracking feeling, but being able to kind of dictate what you want to do and then being with a team that values you, and I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, being with a team that values you, he's looking forward to it. Shady, you're dancing, so you must be in a good mood. Should the Rockets be excited about Kevin Durant?
What? Yes, we talk about Kevin Durant. I don't know how y'all feel about Kevin Durant, especially you. But it's hard to get better than Kevin Durant. I can maybe 3 players right now is better than Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is phenomenal. You look at a team that was the second seed in the West with the Rockets, right? And they coached very, very well. And you add Kevin Durant. Now, Jalen Green, I mean, he didn't really do much in this playoffs, in this series against the Warriors. We all felt like he could have did better, and I knew he would probably leave out. And then Dylan Brooks, good defensive player, but you're not really missing nothing much there. If you look at the Rockets team, they are loaded, yo. They have defense, they have size. Now you bring one scorer in there. Sometimes in these games against the Warriors, I was like, man, is it me or the Rockets don't have no go-to bucket getter? Now you got one. Not that you got one, you got an elite one. So I think at this height of his career right now, his age, where he's at, you go to a team that plays really good defense, that's young, that's moving around, a lot of energy, with good coaching, and then you add Kevin Durant. I am ecstatic about this. Man. Another thing is, since his Achilles injuries the last 5 years, the brother been averaged like 29 points, something like that. Almost 30. Now you get more size, more rebounding, more defense? What? This is scary for the West. It's scary for the West.
I hate.
You hate it.
Hate.
On Kevin Durant?
Hate. Oh. I hate that I love this. I absolutely love this.
Hate that you love it.
And I love it because of this reason. Usually when you acquire Kevin Durant, you have to hemorrhage your roster to acquire him. So the team that Kevin Durant is joining is not the team that traded for Kevin Durant, if y'all know what I'm saying. When you think about the Phoenix Suns, they had to hemorrhage their roster to acquire Kevin Durant, but the Houston Rockets do not have to hemorrhage their roster to acquire KD. I would suggest they get to keep the nucleus of that roster, the quality nucleus of that roster. In the playoffs, Şengün is the one that stepped up. Remember, Draymond Green suggested Şengün was one of the toughest covers, and Draymond Green's one of the best defenders of the generation. In the playoffs, it was Amen Thompson who showed that he had the grit, the toughness, and the determination to rise up. If they can retain Van Fleet, then you're retaining somebody who knows how to win a championship. That's something Van Fleet won in 2019 with the Raptors. You're also retaining a leader of that team, but here might be the most important thing I'm going to say in regards to anything I say, and if you hear nothing else, hear this. I do not believe the Rockets have any renegades on their roster because when Kevin Durant shows up, usually the renegades are exposed. A renegade, somebody who all of a sudden abandons their previous beliefs. That's what happened with Kyrie Irving with the Nets. Kyrie Irving all of a sudden became a renegade. Wait, it's COVID, now you don't want to play basketball anymore? That's what happened with Devin Booker. Devin Booker, under the tutelage of Chris Paul, started to ascend into great heights as a team player. Kevin Durant shows up, all of a sudden, Devin Booker, you start tweeting things out when coaches get fired, 36 unbothered, 35 plus 1, Kevin Durant's jersey number, Devin Booker's jersey number. When Monty Williams, the same Monty that got you to the NBA Finals, he gets fired and now you want to tweet that you're unbothered? Renegade showed up. When I think about the culture of the Rockets. It is a culture that has already been set in stone, very similar to the culture of the Warriors. Kevin Durant is not a culture builder. Kevin Durant is not a culture shifter, but Kevin Durant is an elite player joining a team that already has a culture set. No renegades in the building. I actually love it, and I hate that I do.
I like it. I don't love it. I like it because he's what they need, and they didn't have to give up a whole lot to get him. Yeah. And they were the second best team record-wise in the Western Conference. So all those pieces fit. I still believe that if I wanted to imagine Kevin Durant playing for a championship, it would be with the Denver Nuggets, finding a way to get that done. I think him, Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic as your core. I don't know necessarily how Alperen Sengun and KD are going to play off of each other, right? I like that Fred VanVleet is there and he has a ring, so he has a certain amount of gravitas when it comes to KD and running the show there on the floor. Not that KD's not going to be your go-to guy, but you have a floor general who's won a ring, who can say to KD, I've done what you've done, I know how to get there. Ime Udoka is a no-nonsense coach. So to your point, the culture is there and they need KD. And maybe the most important part is just listening to KD, it sounds like he's excited to go there. It sounds like he wants to get something accomplished here. And to me, that's the biggest thing. When he went to Phoenix, I looked at it and I was like, how's that going to work? Like, I don't see him elevating him just because of the other pieces that they have there. When he went to Brooklyn, that was, I don't know what that was, right? This at least makes sense. Do I expect immense things, a big surprise? Does he take him past Oklahoma City? I don't go quite that far. So I like it. I just, I think there was a better place.
I absolutely love it. I mean, especially for what they gave up. You basically got KD for Green. That's basically what 5 second-round picks. I mean, you don't know what the number 10 overall pick going to be, and that's number 10. It ain't like it's number 2 or something. But getting KD for what they got, like Acho said, you were able to keep the whole roster intact and basically take out Jalen Green and put in KD. And this already was a really good basketball team. But they're going to be a problem because they are coached really, really well. Now you got a guy that can get a bucket at will, a guy that's going to space the floor, so he's going to make it easier for Sengun. You can't just double Sengun if you want to because KD is out there right now. And Jalen Green went missing in the playoffs. This was a really good team in the regular season, but he went missing in the playoffs. With Kevin Durant, you just toss him the ball and he can go to work and make your team better. They are going to be a really good basketball team, and they are going to be able to defend. The West just got stronger over there. It's going to be some trouble trying to deal with these Rockets.
You know what KD gives them? He gives them what the Indiana Pacers were missing.
What's that?
That guy who can go get you a bucket when you absolutely need a bucket.
That's it.
You got Kevin Durant on your team. Man.
This will be interesting. Hey, when we return, getting the inside scoop from somebody that was inside the arena. Game 7, everything that you could have expected to happen, it happened. A superstar, unfortunately, goes down. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he wins the MVP. We will be joined by Rachel Nichols, who was in the building to paint the picture of what you couldn't see on Twitter or even in the game. She has all the behind-the-scenes exclusive access. That's next. Don't forget, check us out every day.
Pop champagne.
Thunder champions after winning Game 7 last night. You see the Finals MVP, the scoring title leader, the regular season MVP. That was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Chet had himself a dominant game as well. Like I mentioned, Chet, after averaging 30, named Finals MVP. And I got to bring in somebody who was there and watched it in person. I had to watch it on a box. Rachel Nichols, you heard the sights. You saw the sights. You heard the sounds. Can you do this? Can you start by painting the picture of Game 7 from inside the arena leading up to tip-off? Just tell me about and tell everybody the atmosphere.
No worries. That Oklahoma City is known as having one of the great crowds of the NBA. In fact, both of these teams have some of the best arenas to have a big game in, and this was no exception. In fact, you had a lot of Pacers fans who flew down for this as well. So there was a little corner section of the crowd that had yellow spots in it. Everyone else in wearing those blue T-shirts. And you could tell at the beginning of the game, there was that push-pull, nervous energy. Also, you had Rick Carlisle before the game coming out and announcing to the media that he had seen a video of buses already painted for for the Thunder's championship parade. So he started talking about this and using it as ammunition for his team that they hadn't even played Game 7, much less won it, and the championship parade buses. So that was also, you could see people checking their phones, wanting to know what Rick Carlisle had been talking about, looking at this video. So it was this amped environment. And then all of a sudden, just minutes into the game, Tyrese Haliburton goes down. And Acho, everything changed. I mean, the building, the exhale around the building, the worry, the way he was on the floor, slamming the ground, clearly in pain and clearly also realizing what this meant going forward. The entire crowd just absorbed that. And it was like almost a still building for a while with bated breath, waiting to see what would happen.
Rachel, very quickly, because we have the luxury watching the replays over and over and over, or watching on TV. I can log on social media. I'm not having Wi-Fi issues. You're inside the stadium. When did you realize that Tyrese Haliburton may not get up on his own power from this injury? When did you also realize, oh, he's not coming back?
Yeah, I mean, the second he went down, it was just very obvious. You could see it. If you're watching where the ball was, you were watching him. The second he went down, you knew that.
Some audio issues we're having quick technical difficulties with Rachel. Obviously discussing, Colvin, just let me know when we're ready, discussing the Tyrese Haliburton injury. Tyrese Haliburton, he had a quick 9 points in the first 7 minutes of that game. Started 3 for 4 from 3. Rachel Nichols back, painting the picture on exactly how the atmosphere changed after Tyrese went down with that injury. Please continue, Rachel.
Yeah, you could just, you could tell. I mean, it was obvious right from the start. And you have an educated basketball crowd, too, that knows what happened to Kevin Durant 6 years ago in the 2019 finals, had calf injuries, still played, and tore his Achilles.
Hey, we're gonna thank Rachel, get to break, get these technical issues figured out, and then we will hopefully have Rachel joining us again momentarily, painting the picture from inside the arena. Y'all know what it is, 2025. Technology sometimes fails you when you need it most. Rachel joining us again shortly. Thunder won Game 7 last night, like we told you all. Obviously, Shai Gilgeous, you see him hugging his people there. Colvin, they've already seen this. Let's bring it back on camera. Had a couple technical difficulties, but joined now again by Rachel.
We're back, baby.
Everything has been fixed. And Rachel has rejoined us. Unfortunately, Tyrese Haliburton last night, he didn't rejoin his team. So can you continue with what was the atmospheric shift like when Haliburton went down?
Well, it was really instantaneous. I think the whole crowd knew what was going on. I mean, he's on the deck. He's pounding against the court. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was actually one of the first people to come over and just sort of tap him on the head. And we all knew. We all knew because we have seen this just 6 years ago with Kevin Durant coming in with a calf injury and calf soreness and leaving with an Achilles tear. These injuries are related. Tyrese Haliburton, in some ways, may have been playing on borrowed time. But he wanted to go out there. He certainly knew the risks. He talked about it over the past few days. And as the rest of the building watched him slam his hand on the court, you just felt for him. And the air went out of the building. The fans didn't really know how to react. When they did carry him off the court into the locker room, you know, he got a huge standing ovation. But even then, there was just sort of this down sigh in the building. And they actually had to get on the Jumbotron and play one of those videos where they sort of start to get people to clap, 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 and sort of tell fans it was okay to cheer again, because really something just series changing had just happened.
Did you notice a look? Because again, when you're inside the arena, you can notice so much that we would just love to hear about. Carlisle, did he speak to Siakam at that moment? Did Siakam go talk to Naismith? Did Naismith say something to Nembhard? Did Nembhard look at Toppin or Mathurin? Did TJ McConnell say, hey guys, I got this? What happened within the Pacers bench after the Haliburton injury?
Yeah, I mean, you could just see them talking a lot to each other. They are familiar with this. Remember, Haliburton went out for the last few games of last year's playoffs, and they actually played what people refer to as one of the closest sweeps in NBA history to Boston Celtics. They were right there at every game. So they looked at each other in a way that you felt that they were confident they could continue on, but they also knew that they had lost their leader. Pascal Siakam, interestingly enough, really took an obvious leadership role in the next huddle, talking to the guys, kind of letting them know that he was there now. He was the one that they could look to. So you noticed that as the TV cameras were away. But this is a team that still went about its business and went into the half leading by a point. I mean, that's the confidence that they clearly have in each other.
Before we move on to focus on the winners and the Thunder, one more final thought on the Pacers. Did Carlisle express any regret, either about rotations, either about his usage of McConnell or Mathurin, either about his extensive usage of Toppin without production later in the game, either about playing Tyrese Haliburton, maybe playing him in Game 6? Did he express any regret at the podium or even after the game?
No, and I don't know if you can, right? Your team gets to leading at halftime of a Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Whatever you did to get there is good enough because that's where it got you. So, no, I mean, he just expressed real sorrow for Tyrese. This, of course, not only impacted the game last night, the series. You know, he's not going to play for all of next season. That's going to affect their entire team and what roster decisions that they make. So I think the enormity of the situation once they were off the court and what was ahead for them was really what was on everyone's minds post-game, including Rick Carlisle.
Now let's talk about the Thunder because they did have one of the most glorious seasons, obviously in their franchise history, but in NBA history. But after the game in celebration, you could tell notably, like, it wasn't as lit as most locker rooms are. The champagne was still full. The beer was unopened. Can you paint the picture of what in the world was going on post-game?
This was amazing to me. I have covered dozens of championships in multiple sports, Super Bowls, World Series, Stanley Cup Finals, plenty of NBA championships. I have never seen a locker room like this. First of all, several of the guys had to be taught how to open a champagne bottle. Alex Caruso, you can see footage of it on the NBA's website. Alex Caruso is literally going from guy to guy, teaching them how to open a champagne bottle because most of them don't know. They get the bottles open. They have maybe, 45 seconds of the spraying each other, right? He's showing them how to shake it up. They're just watching him. Do you see that? I mean, it is unbelievable. Then they have about 45 seconds of this. This is what we've seen on TV. This is what we're going to do. It's great. And then that's it. That is it. I'm telling you, I walked around the table where they keep all the alcohol, and normally there's just bottles littered everywhere. Normally you walk in as a reporter, you wear clothes that you know are going to get drenched in champagne. Guys are pouring stuff on everyone's heads. None of that was going on. It was almost silent. There were maybe 8 empty bottles of champagne. That's it. I tweeted out a photo of it, and also just sort of all the unopened beers. Michelob Ultra is, I guess, a sponsor at this point of the NBA Finals, and you can see all of those unopened beer bottles sitting there. Nobody touched them. And in fact, in a press conference later, Chet Holmgren was referring to the sponsorship, and he said, yes, because these Michelob goggles. He didn't even know what Michelob was called. He just said Michelob. And I asked Sam Presti about this, and he just looked at me and goes, Rach, these guys aren't old enough to drink. They're just not drinkers. And they were happy, and they were cheering for each other. But I swear to God, I don't know if this is the new, Gen Z championship. We know that Gen Z doesn't drink as much as previous generations. But I have never, ever walked into a locker room like this. It was absolutely surreal.
Let's focus for a moment on the MVP. SGA, he completes an illustrious run, scoring title, finals MVP, regular season MVP. I believe one of only 4 players in the history of the NBA ever to do so. You tweeted after the game that SGA was a lock for the Hall of Fame after the accomplishments that he's done on this season alone. Obviously, though, he has 3 All-NBA teams before that. But here's your tweet for the viewers, essentially suggesting that SGA is a lock for the Hall of Fame. You got pushback on this tweet. Are you surprised?
I was kind of shocked at the number of people who are on NBA Twitter, which is a very online community, seem to be, give it 10 years. We don't know yet. This is way premature. Oh, you're crazy. He's a free throw merchant. I mean, people don't understand, I guess. This is the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame. This is not the Baseball Hall of Fame, which is very hard to get into. This is not the Pro Football Hall of Fame. One thing I actually like about the Basketball Hall of Fame is that it celebrates a wide swath of people in the game. The standard is not so high that it's only for the very, very elitist. It really celebrates the entire game of basketball and all the players who made the NBA over the years. Well, flip side of that is if you have the resume, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander could never play another bounce of basketball in the NBA again, and he will get into the Hall of Fame. In fact, as a former MVP, there is only one eligible MVP who is not in the Hall of Fame in the entire history of the NBA, and that's Derrick Rose, who, as we know, had his career, totally mangled by injuries. But that's it. Every other MVP is in the Hall, Nacho. He is getting there. Scoring title, regular season MVP, finals MVP, champion. He's in.
You're not only an incredible journalist, but also an opinionist. So let me ask you one final opinion-based question. We got 7 different champions over the last 7 years. The Toronto Raptors, followed by the Lakers, followed by the Milwaukee Bucks in there. Then you have the Warriors, you have the Celtics, you have the Nuggets. Now you have the Thunder. We always ask the question about dynasty, and sometimes that's a question that comes too soon. But with this team being so young, the nucleus of the team remaining, the coach young and ascending, do you believe the Thunder are going to become a dynasty?
Look, I think they have what it takes. And I think that the way they have set themselves up with runway and salary, they're going to able to be a very, very good team for a long time. A player gets too expensive, they already have the means to replace him. You've got a lot of guys on that squad, Jalen Williams, even Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who still have room to get better. However, the only thing I would say to pump the brakes on everybody is it is very, very, very hard to get to an NBA Finals and win it. And we have seen that with teams who we thought were anointed. The Boston Celtics were the favorites to win the title again this year. They couldn't even get there because of a huge injury. And then something happened with the team chemistry and Kristaps Porzingis. There is always a this and a that and a that comes into play with these teams. Tyrese Haliburton gets injured during Game 7. It's very, very hard to win an NBA title. Everything has to go right. And so that is where I would pump the brakes on, oh, my God, this team is going to dominate for years to come.
Well, Rachel, if they were giving out championships and rings for being the best in the business, you would already be adorned with several of them. Thanks so much for joining us, my friend.
See you soon.
We'll see you soon. Hey, when we return, the Rockets, they will see Kevin Durant even sooner. Kevin Durant on the move from Phoenix to Houston. But after joining another team, I believe his 4th team in about 7 years, is KD actually hurting his legacy? It's about to get good after the break. Hey, Kevin Durant headed to Houston in a blockbuster trade. Again, Kevin Durant, one of the greatest players in the history of the Basketball Association. But get this, he's going to Houston, and the Suns didn't get much in return. Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, a first-round pick, but that's kind of it. That's for a 15-time All-Star. Rick, you've covered basketball for a long time, and at the end of the day, it all comes down to this, viewers at home, a legacy conversation. Kevin Durant joining another team. I believe this might be his 5th or 6th. Fifth team he's played for. Rick, is he hurting his legacy by joining another team?
No. We're in a place now with player empowerment where guys are choosing to move. The whole idea of spending your entire career with one team, that used to be a mark of excellence. It used to be something that guys aspire to. That's no longer the case. And it would be one thing if it was a matter of, you know what, teams are trying to get off of Kevin Durant. And that really hasn't been the case. It's been more Kevin Durant is dissatisfied with where he is and wants to be moved. So that's what's driving this. If anything has hurt his legacy, it's the decisions that he's made on where to go. You leave Oklahoma City, okay, and you go to the Warriors. That's validated by winning 2 championships. But now you go to the Brooklyn Nets to join Kyrie Irving. That wasn't about championships. I don't know exactly what that was about. Right? And then the Nets thing falls apart and you make Phoenix the destination you want to go to, and that doesn't work out. So for as great as Kevin Durant has been as an individual player, I think what hurts his legacy the most is you have to ask the question, how important is winning championships to him based on the decisions that he's made on where he's gone? At least with the Houston Rockets, you can look at it and go, you know what? This makes sense. This gets him closer to winning a championship. But it's some of the previous decisions that he's made that hurts him.
Yeah, this doesn't affect his legacy at all. I mean, even though we're in a different NBA, but even back then, a lot of guys moved on different teams. Charles Barkley, I can name a couple guys. Allen Iverson, all them dudes with the different teams. But now the difference is they create their own narrative as far as, I don't want to play for this franchise. I don't have to. Back in the day where, even in football and in basketball, where the ownership had all the power and you got to play for them. And if you don't play for them, they frown upon it. No. I want to go so I can win a championship at. I want to go so I can still be a good player. I want to go to a team that has good players around me. I want to go and play for a good coach. Everything that Kevin Durant wants to do, they have it in Houston. And I look at all the guys like LeBron, he's on his 4th team. Shaquille O'Neal, he played on 6 different teams. When we look at LeBron James, he's still one of the GOATs. You look at Shaq, still the most dominant. What's the difference between Kevin Garnett or Kevin Durant? He's still a really good player. So I hear what you're saying. I heard the question, but when you that good like Kevin Durant, you that special, you can't change his legacy. Only thing he can do is help it. He goes to the Houston, they win a championship. We're going to be parading about Kevin Durant. I know I am. I know all the elites, all the greats are going to cheer about it. When you add championships, we had this whole conversation a couple days ago about LeBron James talking about the championship culture. Well, this is part of it because I'm learning when you don't win championships and you are so great and so talented, they knock you. When you go to a team that you have some supporting cast, some help around you, they're going to knock you. So if you're going to get knocked anyway, you might as well get knocked when you win it. Yeah. Kevin Durant, go win a championship. I ain't mad at you.
The answer's no. I mean, KD's a champion. Whatever
you a true player.
Whatever you want to think about that. Me, watching KD, I think KD's a top 10 player all time. He's walking into the Hall of Fame. None of that's changing by going to 4 different teams in so many years. It does not matter. Watching KD play the game of basketball, KD is one of the greatest basketball players we've ever seen. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is a champion. He is a finals MVP, all the above. That is Kevin Durant. So moving again to another team changes none of that. Now, him going to chase a championship, cool, but it don't change nothing about his legacy. And I kind of disagree, Slick. You don't think, like, all these destinations he went to, he thought he had a chance to win a championship? Like, you're KD and you sitting here saying, okay, I get to go over here with Steph and them. That works out, I win a championship. Oh, my dog Kyrie Irving's over here. We think Kyrie Irving a pretty good basketball player. Let me go partner with him. Oh, shoot, Devin Booker and them boys just went to the finals. Devin Booker's a good player.
Bradley Beal was good back then.
Let me go over here and be with them. You don't think that he was like, I have a chance to win a championship over here too?
I think having been on a championship team, he knows how much you need and how hard that is. And if I'm going to the Brooklyn Nets and I got Kyrie Irving and what? Like, no, I don't look at that and go, you know what, I'm primed to win a championship.
I was about to go with him.
Before he does his hating situation. But real quick, though, so I got a chance to ask Kyrie Irving about that. And Kyrie said when him and Kevin Durant plan to play together, because they like the way they play each other, et cetera. He said, yo, if we look at our team was really, really good. We had bigs, we had bench. He said, why we got messed up was they seen James Harden and they wanted to work that thing out. When James came to the Nets, they had to give up some pieces. They got to give up some bench players. They give up some big men. That's how that whole thing unfolded like that. But this them two, Kevin Durant and Kyrie, initially they wanted to work together and they had a good team. So I just hate when people like try to hate on Kevin Durant. No, I'm not saying you hate, not right now. Of course. Like a couple minutes you're going to hate, but not right now. I'm just saying when people do hate on Kevin Durant about the teams, I'm like, bro, if I had a chance and the power, because everybody can't do this, to play with players that I want to play with or play with the people that I like, everybody would do it. Now, it's time for you to hate.
James has suggested when I do this.
Here it comes.
You about to what? You about to what? You about to
hate for real.
I cannot disagree with you all more. I'm going to say a couple things, and this isn't just going to apply to basketball. This is going to apply to life. Hit dogs holler, so hopefully you don't holler. The more you travel, the more you water down your legacy. But I also want to suggest this. Don't ever let the current culture dilute or change the truth. I remember a famous actress got divorced one time. I'll let y'all try to figure out who it is. And after getting divorced, she said, well, you know what? I think marriage is something you graduate from. I said, wait, what? Marriage is something you graduate from? So now you want to change the intention of marriage because you want to make yourself feel better about the fact that you're getting divorced. Since when is marriage something you graduate from? Just because the current culture suggests that players move around ain't mean that's what it's supposed to be. Because Jokic ain't moving around. Giannis ain't moving around. Steph ain't moving around. And outside of a forgettable year, not by Shai's own mention, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander ain't moving around. Now to Shady's point, and Shady made a beautiful one. How can you fault KD for going to go get something, a championship? I'm not faulting him for going to go get it. I'm faulting him because he can't bring it to him. That's why he's going to go get it. You're only going to go get it because it won't come to you. Shai brought a championship to him. Giannis brought a championship to him. Jokic brought a championship to him. But because KD can't bring a championship to him, that's why he got to go get it. He got to go get it in Brooklyn, try to go get it in Phoenix. Now he's going to go get it in Houston. But if you could bring it to, if you could bring it to you, you wouldn't have to go get it. So I'm faulting KD, and I'm simply suggesting, not even faulting him, I'm suggesting his legacy is watered down because I have a very simple legacy formula. It's very simple. I was not great at math. You don't have to be for it. It's simple. Championships divided by teams you played for is how great your legacy. The higher the number on the far right column, the greater your legacy is. As you can see, Kobe Bryant, 5 chips, 1 team. Tim Duncan, 5 chips, 1 team. Steph Curry, 4 chips, 1 team. LeBron James, 4 chips, 3 teams. Obviously, notably left off there is Michael Jordan, but y'all get it. Y'all can do the math. The number of championships you win by the teams you play for, to me, is your legacy. Dirk Nowitzki, 1 championship, 1 team. But now KD, 2 championships, but he's been on 5 teams at this junction in time. Your legacy is dependent upon how many championships you win and how many teams did you have to play for to do it. That's my simple legacy equation. I ain't got to get into all the gyrations and all the motions and all the debates. How many chips did you win? And how many teams did you have to play for to do it? That is your legacy.
That is the greatest, nerdiest take that you have ever had. That was outstanding. And to your point, I believe the thing that hurts his legacy the most, because let's not confuse legacy with resume. His resume, because of his individual stats and all of that, you can't touch that. If you just read all of his accomplishments, you can't touch that. But legacy is more about how we think of you, how we remember you. And that's where, not so much moving around, but what has resulted from him moving around. And I would say the thing that hurts him the most with his legacy is, to your point, is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander winning a championship in Oklahoma City. Because when he left, the feeling was, you know what, they got close, but the sense was he's never going to win a championship in Oklahoma City. And he's a championship level player. So we gave him that, right? But now Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and the difference in their staying there, if you throw out the Seattle year and you throw out the year that KD only played like 27 games, wasn't in the playoffs, he was there essentially 7 years. Shai was there 6 years, has been there 6 years. Shai worked through the hard times and brought a ring to Oklahoma City. And for the same reason that we now say that Shai will be regarded as the greatest Thunder player ever, is because he was willing to stick it out and make it happen and bring that championship to Oklahoma City. I think that's the greatest point that you've made, that it puts KD in a little bit of a different light, is that he did have to go chase it. It's the same with LeBron James. He had to go chase it. What pulled it back a little bit is he went back to Cleveland and got them one.
And then got him one.
So
still not quite exactly the same, but when I look at, to your, like Steph Curry and Golden State,
he went through the hard stuff.
So LeBron,
he went through the hard times in between the championships, before the championship, and then to amass all of them, he went through some really hard times.
Hey, you said, I don't want to stop it, but you said something about LeBron. I want you to finish that. Is he cool?
I think his legacy is hurt somewhat in that he had to go chase it. He had to go to Miami to learn how to win championships, and then brought one back to Cleveland, utilized all their resources. Okay, I'm done. Now let me move on again. I think there's something about guys who are willing to stick it out and
bring it there.
I'm going to trust my team to put the necessary pieces around me.
You say that, but it's a lot of All-Stars that haven't done that, right? Like, I don't know if LeBron James' legacy gets affected because he went to different teams.
Oh, there's no
Miami.
question.
We killed him 2-5.
No question.
You was in the league at the time, but like people killed him.
LeBron James. What about right now today? Do they talk about? Nobody talks about it. The whole team switching. I would say LeBron kind of started that, but look at LeBron James. What can you say about him? He's a champion. He's probably the best player we've ever seen in basketball, other than MJ. Right?
I'm not.
There's a smaller, but like the D Wades, he went to multiple teams. The Paul Pierces, the Kevin Garnett. I can name team players.
Now, here's Kobe Bryant, who went through hard times.
But how many of them is it? But okay, so how many guys? You got Tim Duncan. But like it's just as many superstars you have like that. It's like Shaq.
Yeah, but he already.
Nobody here can fix their lips to say anything wrong about Shaq. He's been on multiple teams.
But it's not, but to different conversations. Because to me, there's a conversation about how great an individual is, which Shady, I think, is talking about, and then like how potent your legacy is. Because LeBron, the good thing for LeBron is, at minimum, he's won a chip on every team he's played on. Every team. So whether it was the Lakers, got a chip. Heat, got a chip. Cavs, got a chip. So if I show up, I bring the chip to me.
Right.
KD hasn't got a chip on every team he's played on. Now, there's nuance. Like Shady said, there's a lot of nuance. Dwayne Wade. he won all his chips in Miami, and then towards the end of his career, he goes to play with LeBron in Cleveland. Then I think he goes to Chicago, his whole town.
That's part of it, though.
You know, there's some nuance there. So Shady brings up a good point of nuance. Michael Jordan goes to the Wizards.
Go to Shaq. I want to hear y'all talk about Shaq.
I think the hard part for me is Shaq did start to ring chase towards the tail end of his career, but I think that's the same nuance of Shaq won 3 with the Lakers, started with the Magic, won 3 with the Lakers, but Shaq and Kobe's legacy ain't the same to me. Like, when I think of Kobe, it is the Lakers. Boom.
That's cool.
Boom.
Okay, that's okay. When you think of Shaq,
dominance.
That's greatness. I'm a champion. Shaq's great.
Of course, dominance. But Shaq and Kobe's legacy, to me, especially in LA, the city we're currently doing.
I'm just talking about, if we talk about the player, eventually what's going to happen is every player's going to be gone from this game. It's going to happen like that. When you're gone, then let's talk about your legacy, right? I don't care what teams you played on. When you gone, we're going to talk about who you was as a player. When we talk about Shaquille O'Neal,
most dominant player.
What we talking about?
Dominant.
And when you talk about Kobe, dominant, great player. They both greats.
But not only that, though, too, I don't think it's fair because certain people get treated different.
Elaborate.
What I mean by that is LeBron James is not Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Kevin Durant is not Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander could be with the OKC Thunder for 10 years and not win a championship. He will not get treated like KD, like he has to win a championship. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? That's why I think for them, you think of ring chasing because that is your true legacy because you're that great of a player.
Point. Let me push back. That's a really good point, but let me push back. I do think there's a difference kind of to what Shady's getting at now. Shady's kind of brought it out to me. I think a good conversation is whether you choose to leave, whether you were asked to leave, or whether you were forced out are all different situations as well for me, right? SGA, he was drafted to the Clippers. But SGA didn't want to go to the Thunder. Whereas Kevin Durant, we know he wanted to leave. He wanted to leave OKC. And at the time, that's a different KD. At the time, if KD would have stuck it out, that's a different situation. LeBron wanted to leave Cleveland.
But they wanted to leave because all the pressure on them and all everybody was saying is they have to win a championship. With all due respect to Giannis, they're not saying that about Giannis and Joker. Joker and Giannis could stay at the same team, for real. They could stay at the same team for 12 years. If they don't win a championship, the pressure to win a championship wasn't the pressure that LeBron James was under.
But that's different now. Remember, KD left in 2016. The dialogue was not the same in 16 as it is in 2025, 10 years later. I'm saying we were not saying in 2016, KD, if you don't win a championship in OKC, you a punk. We still had grace for you back then.
And that's probably true, but he's seen what they were doing to LeBron. And that's why LeBron went to a super team. So KD coming up next, in his mind, he I got to win a championship because he was held to those standards.
Rick, chime in on this. Did he see what they were doing to LeBron or did he see what LeBron did? I think that's the difference. I think he saw what LeBron did and said, you know what? Bron had to dip to go get his. I'm a dip to go get mine. And there's two trains of thought. Because I think Joker and Giannis have seen what Steph has done. Giannis easily could have said, I want out. Jokic, by his 7th season, could have said, you know what? I want out. I'm winning MVPs. I'm not winning chips. I want to dip. Shai could have said after last year, we are 1 seed. And I couldn't get it done as a 1 seed, and I'm an all-NBA player. Chet ain't good enough.
But you know what, though?
But we didn't treat him like that.
And another thing is, I think about, even when y'all keep talking about, this guys leaving, we let the front office and these franchises get passes, right? Even with LeBron James, him doing all that he did for that squad, because they weren't even that good, the team, but he was so good, he elevated everybody.
Yeah.
Now, I need help. Why y'all not give me no help? Kobe Bryant had to put pressure on the Lakers, because he was about to leave, too. Do you forget that? Mm-hmm. And I needed pressure. I gave him pressure. I need some more help. And they kind of did that. So I feel like sometimes when you play with these franchises, they get passes because, well, you know, I'm the player. I'm the thing where everybody sees. If I do well, they're going to give me love. But if I do bad and we don't win as a group, they're going to yell at me. They're not saying nothing about the franchise. You ever been somewhere where the GM wasn't that good? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ownership wasn't that good. But if the player is so talented, we forget about all that. No. The business side of things, I understand what the LeBrons and the KDs are going through. Like, for example, I'm with OKC, right? And we have Harden, we have Russ, we have Ibaka, we have Steven Adams. We have a squad. Right? And I'm like, okay, if I'm a coach, we need to go through Kevin Durant. And there's sometimes in the game where Russ like, I'm just as good. I'm going to take the last shot. But real quick, sometimes you need a player, or you need a coach to come and like, hey, we can't do that. So if Kevin Durant ain't really the most vocal type player, how's that message get across?
Because
you get what I'm saying?
I hear you, but I want to pick on one thing Shady said, right? Do you need help, or do you need to help yourself? I think sometimes both are true.
You need the front office to step in there sometimes.
But I think sometimes both are true. I don't know if y'all saw over the weekend, Tracy McGrady was like, if you would have put me instead of Kobe on them Lakers team with Shaq,
I disagree,
would have won
and
some
I
chips
disagree
too.
with him.
And I agree with you. I agree with Shady on that note. But if you're T-Mac, you could suggest to yourself, I needed more help. Or you could say, well, you had Yao Ming. Well, you had Stevie Franchise. Like, you had enough. It was you.
So never won a round.
And you never. So what I'm suggesting is like, it's not that you're wrong, Shady. I think sometimes both are true. I think sometimes players need more help. I think sometimes help yourself. Jokic could have said, I need more. I need more than Murray when Jokic won his first chip. Giannis sure as heck could have said, I need more than Middleton.
He did.
Shea last year could have, I'm saying, but Giannis won it with Middleton. Shea last year could have said, I need more, because Chet often injury prone, he only playing 24 minutes a game. I just think if you gut it through, that matters.
Let me say this, though, because Joker had how many MVPs before he won a chip?
2, right?
You know how bad we would have been talking about Bron and KD if they didn't win? When's the last time my man Giannis won a playoff series?
2020.
You know how bad we would be talking about KD and Bron, because we do. You know how bad we would be talking about them? They're not held to the same standard. When you're not held to the same standard, you can sit back and chill. You can. All that being said with Joe, they're not held to the same standard as Bron and KD. They're not. They're not. And that's why.
They're not American players. See, I'm talking about that American player. I told you.
Championships.
I told you that.
Go ahead, Slick. What you think?
That's interesting.
James, you hold real quick. They're American players. I told you about American players.
Again, I'm going to say it's resume versus legacy. And if you stick it out, the Steph Curry winning a championship in 2022 put him in a place that, while he's even with LeBron, in many people's minds, that put him a step ahead, because he stayed with the same team and he ended up with the same number of championships.
Step ahead of who? I didn't hear.
That?
You said step ahead.
Look, Steph could have easily said after 2019 and they go and they fall off the map in 2020, and people were suggesting he needs to go someplace else.
Should he go to Charlotte?
He's wasting his career. And then he comes all the way around. He says, no, you know what? I'm going to find a way to lead this group, which was a very questionable group.
You're right. He's right.
We can look at it now and say, oh, they're champions. We didn't know what Jordan Poole was. Andrew Wiggins had never been a winner.
Correct.
He brought that team together to go get another ring. And the value of that, and I've said the same thing with Giannis. It's why I'm encouraged by the idea that he's staying in Milwaukee, because he could go someplace else and win another ring or two. If he sticks it out and wins one more in Milwaukee, to me, that's equal to anything else anybody else has
You
done.
said ahead of who? You said step ahead of who?
He said LeBron.
I think a lot of people are now weighing the way Steph has gotten to his 4 rings, and they're weighing it with how LeBron got to his, going to 3 different places, and are saying, now I'm not making that case. I just know that
like
narrative
whose rings
is out
are
there.
more impressive? Whose 4?
But you're saying like legacy.
Whose 4 rings are more impressive? Not who's better.
Not as a
whose
player,
whose
saying
4
like
rings are
how
more
they
impressive?
won the rings.
Bro,
Not individual.
nobody loves Steph more than me on this step. We can't be doing a step in we can't do that. LeBron James?
There's a nuance here.
I got to go to
We're
break.
Not talking about the player.
When we return, Thunder NBA champs. But would the Pacers have actually won if their star player Tyrese Haliburton wouldn't have collapsed right there in that moment? He knew what it was, but the Thunder champs nonetheless.
Talking about the dude from Akron.
Dude from Akron.
You want to start out? If they chose
The Pacers had to overcome a huge obstacle last night. That's Tyrese Haliburton's injury. Ultimately, they didn't overcome it. Left the game in the first quarter with an Achilles. Thunder went on to win their very first championship. Again, shout out to and congratulations to the Thunder, but we do television. Right. We were not on the court.
They deserve it. They deserve it, right?
They did.
They deserve it.
They absolutely deserve it. You can't take a chip from nobody.
Champions, we are. Is that how I go?
No, you're out of tune.
Oh, okay.
And that, that wasn't a refrain either.
Shady, let me ask you this, though. In all seriousness, in all sincerity, would the Pacers have won it if Haliburton doesn't get hurt?
You being serious here?
In all seriousness, in all sincerity. I mean, I preface by saying I was going to be serious, Shady.
I mean, you say a lot of things. I'm just trying to figure
I don't preface all my takes by saying I'm about to be serious.
I'll tell you this much. Before the series even started, Slick, who I had winning this thing, man?
Oh, Oklahoma City Thunder in 4, I believe.
Okay. Might have wrong there. Okay. James, who did I have picked winning this thing?
You had Oklahoma City.
Why? Why? What'd I say?
Superstar players versus a college team.
Right.
I think that was your
And
take.
you asking me about a player that got hurt, who I hate to hear that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, was he the best player on his team in the finals? I don't think so. Was he the second best player on his team in the finals? I don't think so.
I can argue.
You can argue that. I think he was the third best. So if you ask me if the third best player in this finals, erase the name, if he plays, they win? I don't think so. I think the OKC was a better team, right? It was a point in the game where even when Haliburton goes to the bench, who's going to score? At one point, it was just only TJ McCollum scoring all the points. No Siakam, no Turner, no nothing. So I just, and I hate to even talk like this about the Pacers because I thought they fought hard, man. Yeah. You know what? One thing I will say, they gained more respect from me because the way they played. They played with a lot of heart, a lot of grit, a lot of toughness. They just don't have the talent. And when you look at NBA, NFL, baseball, MLB, you look for talent. They don't have a lot of that. They got heart, they got defense, they got grit. They lack talent. And when you lack talent, you lose in the finals. I've never seen a finals team ever win a championship not that talented. Not with a main superstar. He's breathing hard, so let him tell me. But the last teams I know close to these guys, I'm thinking like, who was a team that have no go-to superstar?
But that's different. I think they have a lot of talent. They have a lot of good talent. But they don't have
elite.
They don't have elite
there you go.
talent.
We agree together this Slick.
Siakam is probably the closest thing to elite. And Tyrese Haliburton at times has looked like an elite player. That's why we talked about him being a superstar in the making, but not just, well, some of us talked about it. But no, having Tyrese or not having Tyrese wasn't the difference maker in this because of how the game turned out. If it had been a closer game and we know what Haliburton had been able to do in big moments, and you wanted to say, man, if they had him on the floor, maybe he hits another one of those shots, then okay. But Miles Turner and Obi Toppin combined for 6 points and 6 rebounds. I don't know how Tyrese Haliburton changes the dynamic when your front line was beaten as badly as theirs was, right? And yes, Haliburton could get them some easy shots in certain times, but we also saw times where they needed a bucket and they had Haliburton and he couldn't get it for them.
That is true.
Right? Or create it for them.
That's him.
So I look at the third quarter when the Indiana Pacers had 7 turnovers and Oklahoma City had 0. That, to me, was the quarter where this whole thing shifted. And Haliburton had his issues with turnovers, too.
Yes, he did.
Bad turnovers, untimely turnovers. So I can't look at what Haliburton provided and the way this particular game went and say that, in spite of the fact that he came out hot shooting from 3, that it would have been a difference.
And real quick, James, I just want to say before I end my take, right? I was thinking, when they would win a lot of their games, it was like different role players that had great games. If it's TJ, if it's Toppin, all these other guys, right? If it's Benedict, he had a good game where he had like 30-something. And it's like,
27 one game.
Name me certain teams where, like, for us to win, our role players got to play better than our starters. It'll never happen like that. So when I respectfully was comparing them to a good college team, that's college stuff. Like, okay, we might not have a lot of elite players, but the guy on the bench, that's the 10th guy off the bench, he's going to play well. Then the 9th guy's going to play. It's like, when we look at OKC, SGA, you there? Go take care of that. J-Dub, go handle that. They don't have that. That's why I was saying you compare an elite team, pros, to a college team where we all got to pitch in the project and you give me your 12 points, you give me your 15, you give me your 13, hopefully we win. That's crazy.
And not only that, though, the reason why my answer is no, because Haliburton didn't give me an opportunity to say yes. He was so inconsistent in this series.
That's fair.
Now, if you would have told me a Steph Curry like we seen, who's a real consistent player, and when he went out with the Warriors looked like, if you were to say, dang, man, OKC's in the finals, Joker gets hurt, and we probably going to see what they look like, I can't sit here and say yes because Tyrese Haliburton, for 6 games, he did not play consistent. For 6 games, they won 3, they lost 3. So I can't sit here and say they would have won if he was on the court. Now, what I will say is I do think it would have been closer. I do think it would have been a closer game if he was out there, but I can't sit here and say they would have won if he would have stayed on the court because he's been so inconsistent in this series. He's been aggressive at times, not aggressive. He scored at times, didn't score. assist at times, didn't assist. He's been so inconsistent. So for me, I can't sit here and say he's just the equalizer. If he would have stayed on the court, they would have won this series, knowing how consistent Shea has been.
This is really not fair to James Jones. James Jones is just dragging Tyrese Haliburton, and we're showing his dad in tears.
No, I'm not. I'm just keeping it real.
Tyrese with a towel over his head,
I'm
and
praying
James
for
is
him.
like,
I'm praying for him.
wouldn't have made a difference.
I don't ever want to see nobody get hurt. I'm just speaking the facts.
Let me try to convince y'all quickly.
It's gonna be hard.
Got about a minute.
It's gonna be hard.
Y'all ever cooked? You ever cooked 2-5 Shady in the kitchen?
I cook breakfast.
Bet.
Yeah, sure.
I watched this documentary like Salt, Heat, Fat, Acid. It's a documentary about cooking and how different things enhance flavors. I'm going somewhere with this. And I was eating dinner last night, and the meal tasted like nothingness.
You cooked it, or you?
No, I was out. I was out. I don't cook. I just read about it. I was eating dinner last night, and the meal tasted like nothingness, absolutely nothingness. And so I grabbed some salt after I asked the waiter for it, and I put a little salt on it. Salt on something that tasted terrible beforehand. All of a sudden, flavor came out. To your point about Obi Toppin, to your point about Miles Turner, nothingness without Tyrese Haliburton. But you sprinkle a little bit of Tyrese Haliburton in that ball game, all of a sudden Obi Toppin gets 20 points, because that's what he had last game. Sprinkle a little bit of Tyrese Haliburton in that game, he had 17 points. That's what Obi Toppin had in the first game. Sprinkle a little bit of Tyrese Haliburton on that court last night, and Obi Toppin gets 17 points. That's what he had in game 3. All of a sudden, you add Tyrese Haliburton to things that otherwise lack any sort of ability, at least in Game 7 of the NBA Finals in 2025, and they turn into something. Because Miles Turner played the worst game of a bad series, the worst game of his whole series. Not coincidence when Haliburton was out. Naismith, 5 points. It's not coincidence because Haliburton was out. All these flavorless, analogous there. All these flavorless players, you sprinkle a little bit of Tyrese Haliburton on that court and everybody gets better. So I can't simply say, what would Haliburton have done in a 13-point game or in a 12-point game? Because if you would have sprinkled some Haliburton onto that court last night, every single player gets
Can
better.
Haliburton sprinkle himself on himself?
The only difference between that though, Acho, is Haliburton is Salt, but on the other side is Lowry's. It's Old Bay.
Hot sauce.
It's all that
Tony Sasheries.
It's all that seasoning over there, man, and they still would have came up short.
I tried. Hey, with the Thunder being champs, is this the start of the dynasty? That's the next question. We got to celebrate the victory. Shout out to the Thunder. Y'all got it done, whether Tyrese was there or not. Salute and respect to the champs. Is a dynasty beginning? That's next. I tried. The Thunder are champions, and Kevin Durant is trying to be one. Not exactly sure why we're showing Kevin Durant, but we'll move on. Here we go. Thunder, they're champions. Kevin Durant trying to be a champion. It's just a day talking about champs. Hey, SGA, Finals MVP. Chet got his first one, along with the Thunder getting their first ones, and SGA was talked about the potential for more. Take a listen.
Have room to grow, and that's the fun part of this. So many of us can still get better. There's not very many of us on the team that are quote-unquote in our prime or even close to it. So we have a lot of room to grow individually and as a group, and I'm excited for the future of this team. But this is a great start for sure. Couldn't imagine it any other way.
After seemingly every year we come on television after the champion is crowned and we suggest, is this the start of a dynasty? I remember the Denver Nuggets, they won 2 years ago. Mike Malone, he goes to his celebration in Denver and says, we don't just want one, we want two, we want three. Last year after the Celtics win, y'all remember the Celtics, we all suggested Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Joe Mazzulla. That's the start of a dynasty. Yeah. They were one and done. But Rick, this does seem a little different. SGA, I think, is only 27. I think J-Dub is 24. Chet might be 22. This does seem a little different. Maybe SGA is only 26. Is this, I know I ask it every year, is this the start of a dynasty, the Thunder winning?
It's way too early to talk about that, and my inclination is to say no, because the NBA has specifically built a salary cap that prevents teams from staying together. And we have Lou Dort, Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams with the EN, the important Jalen Williams. All of them are up for extensions at this point. Our SGA, our reigning MVP, is 2 years away from being an unrestricted free agent. So they got to figure out that money. They got to pay all these guys to keep them together. And the way the salary cap is now structured, you simply can't, because then it handcuffs you in being able to do anything else. So Sam Presti as a GM has demonstrated that he is brilliant in collecting assets and revising his team and making moves. But that's the challenge that they have before them. That's from a technical standpoint. I would say the other element that we're not taking into account is, has their hunger for a championship been sated? They've had to climb this mountain to get a ring. And we just take it for granted, and we hear players and teams say it all the time. Well, let's go get another one, right? We just heard SGA talking about that. You can't tell me then, looking at the Milwaukee Bucks or the Denver Nuggets or the Boston Celtics this past year, that they came back after winning a championship with the same fire and the same hunger that they had had previously. There's something about when you climb that mountain and you know how hard it is, and you get there, you relax. You're exhausted, as opposed to coming into the season where you're like, we got to get it. We got to go get it. People talked about this Oklahoma City Thunder team having that eye of the tiger from the very beginning. Can they have that again when you have all these other teams that are looking to get that? We take it for granted what the Golden State Warriors and what Steph Curry and those guys did, where they were never sated. They were never satisfied. That is the exception rather than the rule. When I look at all of the teams that were young and poised to continue to win championships, and yet they didn't, that to me is the biggest factor. I need to see how hungry they remain.
Yeah. It's promising, but to be honest with you, this series scared me a little bit. I thought this was going to be a gentleman's sweep. I thought they were just that much more dominated than the Pacers. And this going 7, it kind of got me thinking to be like, what if a healthy Boston Celtics and a Jason Tatum was there and they could get buckets whenever they needed to get a bucket with a JT and a JB? How would that series look? Because in the regular season, I knew they was dominant. They came into the postseason, played well, but during this series, I'm like, the Pacers ain't on their level. This is going to be a beatdown. And the way the Pacers played them, it kind of shook me a little bit. So I'm going to say no, just because I know that there is better teams in the East with superstar power, and there's probably going to be some teams in the East that get better. And it's definitely some teams in the West that's going to get better, because what if Curry don't pull a hamstring? Who knows how that's going to look in that series, because he's a superstar player. So this series kind of shook me a little bit to where I'm like, I believe they're a little ways away from being a dynasty.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to say no, they're not. There's been 7 champions in the last 7 years.
Yep.
Right? The last team the last 2 teams, I would say, the Nuggets, I said, man, they might can go out there and get a back-to-back because the way that they were constructed their team. And then I'm going to say the Celtics, right? When you want to put a roster together, you dream of having the Celtics roster. You talk about talent, you talk about scoring, you talk about the superstar, the elite players, and a solid bench. It's just something about the Thunder, man. When I watched them in the finals, I'm like, yo, and respect to the Pacers, but I'm thinking, I struggle with the Pacers. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see it. I really don't.
Let me ask y'all this, though. It's funny. I think all y'all are right, and I agree with y'all. I don't think it'll be a dynasty. But Shady, you said something that's interesting. Though the Thunder struggled, they did win.
Yeah.
Remember, the Nuggets had to try a couple times and fail before they ever won. The Celtics lost to the Warriors before they ever won. So are we kind of looking at it the wrong way? In theory, the Thunder could have gone next year, won, and all of a sudden, we'd be having this conversation a year removed. In theory, because Shady's right, like, man, they struggled. But most of these teams we've been talking about struggle and lose. Yeah. Celtics 2022, struggle and lose. Nuggets lose to the Lakers in the bubble in the Western Conference Finals, if I'm not mistaken. But the Thunder, in their first legitimate attempt, last year they were the Rockets of this year. Last year they got lost in the first round. In their first legitimate attempt, they did win. Yeah. Are we looking at it wrong?
No, it's a great point. It's a great point, because I felt like the Boston Celtics missed their opportunities to be a dynasty because they had all those runs previously and they didn't finish the job when we felt that they could have. So you make a fair point there, but we do have this new salary cap coming in now that is different than anything else that they've ever had to do before. So that's where I do think that they're up against something different. But it's a fair point. If anybody has a chance to do it, when I look at what Sam Presti is able to do, when I look at all their resources, all of that, it's just a matter of guys are going to want to get paid now.
Yeah.
And we saw it with the Warriors when Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins got paid.
Are the three enough, though? Because remember, the Warriors, they lost a guy here. They lost the dude that went to the Dallas Mavericks, Harrison Barnes. They lost to Barnes here. They lost to Zaza Pachulia there. They lost an Iggy there. But they kept KD. They kept Clay, Steph, and Draymond. If they keep Chet, J-Dub, and Shea, whether you lose Hardenstein or you lose Dort or you lose Caruso or you lose Wallace or you lose Isaiah Joe, are those three enough?
No, it makes a difference. Your depth and versatility.
I'm watching this series.
Yeah,
right?
And you might play a team, I mean, and the Celtics lost, so I don't want to use them for example, but, I mean, they can score and they can defend, right? I think you got lucky. I ain't going to say lucky because the Pacers, they played them well, but when you have to worry about just one part of the game, like it's playing defense, you know what I'm saying, compared to, games just close, who we going to. A lot of these other teams have that. And I think that the Thunder is a really good team. We talking about dynasty.
Yeah.
When I look at that Warriors team, I'm like, okay, this is a dynasty. When LeBron James at Cleveland's with him, Bosh, not Cleveland, Bosh, him, and Wade, I was like, oh, okay. Got Shane Battier playing defense. You got Ray Allen's one of my, oh, okay. You get what I'm saying? When I look at I don't see that. And for me, it's more of check. He plays well at times because of how the team is formed, but he got to be better.
He's going to get better. He'll be better.
Everybody says that. They always say he's young, right? But I've seen a lot of players that we say we're going to be young, we're going to get better, and they didn't. So
I would go to the bank that Chet has shown me enough. Hey, he missed 50 games this year.
I heard that.
He's played one full season. But
he keeps getting hurt.
Your point about the Heat and the Warriors and all those, the role players in those, they had the nucleus, right? Mm-hmm. But the role players ultimately made a big difference.
Made a big difference, no doubt about that. Hey, Joe Burrow was sitting on stage over the weekend and somebody yelled up, hey, I want you to make the playoffs. That leads us to the question, is it put up or shut up time?
Oh, fans are saying that?
Fans are talking crazy
So me and James ain't tripping.
Not at all. This kid ain't tripping. Hey, Joe Burrow's coming off a career year, but the Bengals also missed the playoffs. Cincinnati has missed the playoffs in back-to-back seasons, and a young fan reminded Burrow about it this weekend. Take a listen.
You're my favorite player because he's on the Cincinnati Bengals. He's amazing.
We're going to have a great year for you.
Better make the playoffs.
Wow, calling you out, Joe.
Rightfully so.
He's stuck in there. You better make the playoffs.
Yeah, let him go.
Like all this. Got glasses on, jewelry on. Yo, hi, nice to meet you.
Hey.
Yo, these kids getting bold, man. These kids getting bold. James Jones, put up or shut up time for Joe Burrow?
Put up or shut up time? This was actually a tough question for me because Joe's been putting up, so it ain't like he got to shut up. But he do got to make the playoffs. Yeah. Joe Burrow has to get into the playoffs because he needs to put up when it's time to put up. He needs to make that play to beat Lamar Jackson. He needs to make that play to get that extra W because if he gets an extra W, he's in the playoffs. And Joe Burrow in the playoffs has showed us that he can beat Patty. He can beat anybody that he goes up against because he's been to the Super Bowl. So for him, it is time to get to the playoffs. But it's one thing I love about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow don't make excuses.
True.
If you ever hear Joe Burrow step up to the podium, whether it's a bad call against him, with it, he don't never make excuses. If he got to make the play, he'll say that. So Joe Burrow, as you told the little kid, hey, we're going to get it done. You got to get yourself into the playoffs. You are too good of a quarterback. You're in that elite company. You have to make the playoffs. 3 years straight not in the playoffs, that's unacceptable for Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Joe's special. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch. But it is put up or shut up. I need you to get in the playoffs. You are too good not to be in the playoffs. And I think it's like, as a fan of the game now, as I'm retired, like, I feel like I'm getting cheated. I'm getting cheated I'm watching the playoffs without Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
That's a good
It don't even make
point.
sense.
That's a good point.
He's so good. And I can't wait to see him.
Yeah.
And I can't see you only in the regular season, but not in the playoffs. When I'm watching Lamar Jackson, I'm watching Patrick Mahomes.
Josh Allen.
I want to watch you, Joe, because you are just as good as them.
That's a great point.
So he got to put up.
That's a 10 out of 10 no notes. I would say. That's
a great point.
Usually I'll be ready to.
Hey, but these kids are real quick. I had to check my son the other day.
What happened?
He said, "Oh, Dad, man, you got carried to the championship. You 2 championships, you got carried." I said, "What you say?"
Yeah.
Cause I forgot he a kid. Like, boy, I said, man, you ain't nowhere near me. You better keep working hard. Cause you know he working out and he half doing sissy. I said, yo, the way you playing, you can't get carried to no Super Bowl. You know, I forget he a kid now.
So did you agree you did get carried to the Super Bowl?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. With Tom Brady impact. Yeah. But you can't say that.
Kids always go.
You gotta work hard.
Shady was out there. We was working out. Our kids was working out together, and he told me that story. And I said, I tell my kids, you can't mention you better than Pops till you catch a touchdown or run a touchdown in the NFL. You can't say you better than me. So until that day, I'm way better than you, dog.
I had to tell them, show me a running back I ain't better than been in the Super Bowl the last 10 years.
Does a preseason? We need to establish ground rules for the kids right now. Does a preseason touchdown count?
What is that?
No.
That's like getting a alternate Pro Bowl.
It got when they type in your name, it gotta say Emmanuel Acho, 29 tackles in the game. It gotta say something. It can't be preseason tackles. Nah, preseason touchdowns ain't on, man.
And listen, I'm honest with my son. He like, yo, Dad, did I kill? I mean, I guess for you killed. I wouldn't say I killed. I would be mad. I would be in my room all day the way I play if y'all was you. I keep it real with him. Yeah, tighten your game up, son.
Ain't good enough. Ain't good enough. My kids will be sitting on the bench with me. You're not helping. You ain't good enough.
All right, it's time to go to break. When we return, this is Facility Family. Kevin Durant, he's headed to Houston, but does he have to win a title? Does he have to win a title with the Rockets to validate the trade? That's next.
I don't think so.
Hey, Kevin Durant headed to Houston in a blockbuster trade. Y'all know this by now, going to his 5th team. Y'all also know that by now. But what y'all might not realize is KD hasn't gotten past the second round of the playoffs since 2019 when he was with the Warriors. Shady, does KD have to win a title to validate the trade to Houston?
I don't think so. You know, they didn't give up much to get Kevin Durant. You look at the last big trade, we seen Luka and we seen Anthony Davis. And now it was an argument. Was the GM right for Dallas, the Lakers, they justifying getting rid of Anthony Davis, they won a championship with LeBron, all that, because they're really good players who got the more better value. We're here, they didn't really give up much. Yeah. Right? And Kevin Durant's a little older, he's not really the same as far as, the value of his talent compared to his age. So I don't think you're arguing who won the trade. I think it was a fair trade for both teams.
That's interesting. When you internalize that question like that, I agree with Shady, actually. I don't think he needs to win to validate the trade. I think he needs to win to validate more so himself. And not that Kevin Durant needs any validation. All-time great player, all-time great things, all the things. But, 5 teams. One of them you won a championship. You're too great to have gone to 5 teams and only have won a championship on one of them. Thus far, it's been 4 teams. LeBron James went to 3 teams, but he won a championship on every one of them. Tim Duncan was on 1, he won his chips. Kobe on 1, he won his chips. The greats. You bring your places championships. So for me, the tension isn't that he needs it to validate the trade. Shady's right. It was an equal trade. But 5 teams. You can't play on 5 different teams and only win 1 championship on one of them. Even Shaq. Lakers chip, Miami chip. After that, he's out of his prime and he's trying to find other chips. But 5 teams, KD, 5? Yeah. And only 1 team did you win a chip? I believe he's too great for that.
I agree. But it's not that he has to win a title. He has to make a difference. Because I think that's where we take away from Phoenix, is we look at Phoenix and for all of his greatness, it didn't make a difference.
Yeah.
We've seen Houston Rockets have the 2nd best record, go 7 games with the Warriors. At the very minimum, he has to take them further than that.
Yeah.
And that won't be a snap depending on who they get matched up with, because the Western Conference is just such a mixed bag, a very talented potential mixed bag. So for me, he's got to take them further than they've gone without him. And the challenge is going to be, I don't know if they will be as good a regular season team. Because
that's gonna be tough.
Jalen Green got exposed in the playoffs. I'd say Dylan Brooks to a certain extent as well. But those guys were really good regular season players. And they collectively were good. And KD has to make up for their absence. And then when you get to the postseason, be the guy that we know he's capable of being. Short of that, then that's what he has to justify. We went and got you because we think you can take us to some place that we haven't been before. You can't take us to where we've already been. They cannot go backwards.
Yeah, that was my take. He has to take them further than they went last year. And regular season record, they had a heck of a regular season. You're the second seed. I'm not saying you have to do that, but you have to punch your ticket to the playoffs, and you have to take them farther than you did last year. And in my humble opinion, I think this is the most pressure that KD has been under in his career. Because you went to the Warriors, they got superstar players. You go to the Nets, you with Kyrie, superstar players. You could blame it on some other people. You go to Suns, you got Devin Booker, and they had to give up a bunch for you. So you like, dang, the Suns gave up all that. Yeah. This is basically a trade. Hey, Jalen Green out of the lineup, you in. Mm-hmm. So with you in, we should be able to win some of these playoff series. If he goes in here and they go to the same place and lose, I think people are going to be like, man, hey, KD is not that dude that's going to bring anybody else a championship.
People going to start.
Yeah, people going to start.
People going to start.
Hey, when we return, it's time for a Blitz meeting. What a day we have had. Monday on the facility. There's no other place, and definitely no better place to be. More facility after the break. It's time for a Blitz meeting. Kevin Durant traded to the Rockets. It got us thinking about the other legends, Steph Curry, LeBron James. Who y'all think has the best chance at another ring, KD, Steph, or Bron?
I'm going Steph. Trio, let's go. I think Steph. I think if the Warriors was in the playoffs this year and he didn't get hurt against Timberwolves, I think they win that.
I agree with Shady wholeheartedly. I think Steph's game, it depreciates the slowest. You feel me? Steph's game is still near the top of his game compared to the other two. I think Steph got the best chance.
Yeah, I'm with Steph too, because I think the Warriors can put pieces around Steph. Mm-hmm. That dude can shoot the air out of the ball, man. I got to go with Steph.
Yeah. That's a clean sweep. Moving on. Travis Hunter, look, he signed his deal with the Jags. Y'all can look at it right there. I think he got $30 million.
Young money, young moolah.
Shout out to Trav. But y'all know he's playing offense and he's playing defensive back. Y'all think he can be a Pro Bowler at offense and on defense?
Who we talking about? Travis Hunter? Hell yeah. Listen, when they made that trade to go get him in that draft, they didn't come get a wide receiver. True. They didn't just come get a D-back. They wanted a D-back and wide receiver. Young moolah, get that money. Yes, sir.
I'm going to say yes, too, but let me ask you. You know what, James? I'm going to say yes. I'm sure you're probably saying yes.
Yes, I'm saying yes.
Okay, then let's ask this question. Shady, you know what it takes to be a Pro Bowler. James, you had a Pro Bowl caliber season, but they didn't give it to you.
You
had 14 touchdowns in 2014, led the whole NFL in it. What's it going to take, Trav, to be a Pro Bowler? Just talk offensively.
Opportunity. That's all I'm
numbers.
Oh.
8 TDs?
No, 9 touchdowns, 9 touchdowns, 1,200 yards.
Yeah.
He's a rookie.
Yeah, I say you getting that 1,200 yards with double-digit touchdowns, you're going to have a shot. And you're going to have a true shot, too, because of your name.
Come on, man.
You know what I mean? My name wasn't big when I led the league in touchdowns. Larry Fitzgerald was. And they were like, well, James ain't getting double covered. Larry is. Right. You know what I mean? Larry goes. So his name walking into the league is already big. So if he puts up 1,100, 11 touchdowns.
And another thing is, he got a lot of hype, is what James talked about. But your quarterback ain't that good to just lift you off. He gonna give you every chance because he know you gonna make me look better.
All right, but let me ask you this, because last year Brian Thomas, I think, had 12 touchdowns and 1,100, 1,200 yards.
That's when the name come in.
Can Travis have 1,200 and BT3 have Brian Thomas III or Brian Thomas Jr.? Can he also have 1,200?
I think so, because the way Travis built. Trav can catch a 5-yarder and go 80.
Yep.
He could catch a 5-yarder and take it 35. So him after the catch is going to mean a lot. So he might have less catches than Brian Thomas Jr., but I still think he can get
play
those
capabilities.
numbers.
And I mean, that was 2,400 yards. So that ain't a lot of yards for both wide receivers.
Trevor Lawrence is there, though.
I mean, but he'll at least have 3,000 yards.
Fair. All right. Well, Caleb Williams talked about negative fan experiences over the weekend, and he singled out Packers fans saying, quote, oh, James, they suck.
Yeah, Bears fans suck, too. We don't like y'all
That's what he said. I got to start with James Jones on this one. James, he said y'all suck.
Yeah,
fans suck, rather. Best rivalry in the NFL right now.
You know what, man? I grew, because the Bears and Packers ain't a rivalry because we beat them all the time.
That's not no rivalry.
It's the oldest rivalry, but it's not a rivalry. I got to go Steelers-Ravens, man. When I grew up watching Ray Lewis and Ed Regal and Hines Ward and it was just physical, violent rivalry. I'm going to say the Ravens still.
Like that one a lot. Right here, right now, I'm still going to say Chiefs-Bengals. Only because Jamar Chase ain't afraid to talk. That's why. Jamar Chase ain't afraid to talk.
like the bad boy.
Joe Burrow don't really talk. Mahomes don't talk, but his daddy do. So for that reason, I'm going to say the Bengals.
Who's the highest value franchise in sports?
Cowboys.
Who the defending champ?
Philadelphia Eagles. Don't touch me. You messed up. Philadelphia.
You know it's the Eagles versus the Cowboys.
good rivalry,
Huh?
too.
Thursday night, the ring ceremony.
Here's my problem. Here's my problem with that rivalry.
What's your problem?
We haven't seen enough of it at a high level. We've only seen Dak and Jalen Hurts face off, I think, twice in 4 years. There's not enough to build.
Division wins,
Remember,
though.
we
Let me
saw Gardner Minshew versus Dak. And we saw Jalen Hurts versus, Cooper Rush. I ain't seen it.
It's bigger than that. It's bigger than me and you.
Okay, what is
I
it?
watched them boys in the old Vex Stadium.
Yeah.
Michael Irvin got hurt. You know what the Eagle fans did? Is he okay? They clapped. We don't care if he okay or not. Get him off the field. That's the Eagles
Right here, right now, though, 2-5.
Yeah, you got Saquon, you got Jalen Hurts with A.J. Brown.
Who do they have?
And you got Dak Prescott, you got
George
CeeDee Lamb,
Pickens.
and then George Pickens. It's on and popping with Michael Parsons.
Fine.
That'd be crazy, man.
I'm with you. Hey, I cannot wait to hear what Colin Cowherd has to say after an epic Game 7.